What is up, guys? I got the keys here, back with another video. So today the subject is taking off the mask, right? Um, so I don't know if, a lot of you might be newer generation, but there's a movie with Jim Carrey in it called The Mask, right? And that movie was very symbolic of the ego, right? And so every time he would put on that mask, he would turn into a whole different person, right? And because it's symbolic of the ego in the same way, because if you really look at the way you act when you're in your ego rather than when you're in your higher self, right? You don't come from a place of love. You come from a place of everything is for me. I need to do this for me. I need to get this money for me. I need to get this car for me. It's all about your pleasure, all about your enjoyment, all about, which, isn't wrong, but we don't want to do that where it's constant, right? Like I said, you have to have an ego to live in the physical world because that is your personality, right? That is who you think you are in that moment, right? But the ultimate reality that you are God, you are the creator, right? And so, life is a lot easier when you're living in the higher self because you're seeing everything from a higher viewpoint rather than where you're at right now. So the ego is the one that's always, oh, what am I going to do about this problem? How am I going to pay these bills? How am I going to get this money? That's the ego, right? It's always chattering. It's always talking, always trying to get the answer, trying to figure things out with the mind. But your higher self already knows the plan. It already knows what's going to happen. It's already leading you towards the highest thing. And so, like I said before, even in those really, really dark moments of your life, those are leading towards you something like way better, right? We can't see that in the moment because we're going through all this crap, right? Like, don't get me wrong, I've been through it, guys. I've been through, losing apartments, losing, a place to live, losing cars, car problems. It could be somebody passing away. And sometimes those are the things that awaken us the most because it's like a slap to the face of, hey, wake the fuck up, right? This is not real. This is not, and I don't really like saying things aren't real, but it technically is in a way, right? And so all of this stuff that we believe is complete and utter bullshit most of the time, right? We make up our beliefs. So wouldn't you rather choose beliefs that make life easier? So, instead of fighting yourself and trying to do, right? We should try being, right? And that means being in the moment, being still, listening, and really having your heart open and feeling, what do I feel right now? What am I hearing? What am I seeing? And so, like, not just being the observer, but, really, really feeling the moment, really be in, right? Be inside your body, be inside your soul, and understand from the higher viewpoint what is happening, right? And you might not always get an answer right away, but you're going to know eventually what the reason was and why it happened, okay? So, and I know things can be hard to not stress about at certain times, but when you really know that everything is always taken care of and everything is for your highest good, this becomes much, much easier. And you're just like, I see all these problems, but I know that you have a solution, right? So it's like, I know my higher self has the plan. I know my higher self has the way out, and that I'll be revealed that when it's time, right? So this is like part of that divine timing, being in alignment. And so, even the word alignment, it's like, it's aligning with the mind, aligning your heart with the mind, right? And so it understands that, hey, this is all present moment. This is all going on right now. And so even if something seems hard in the moment, you know that there's a better outcome at the end of it. And sometimes that can feel like a long time, and I understand that, and it sucks. But try to keep yourself in a high, I don't want to say vibration, but that's what it is, right? So try to keep yourself in a higher vibration of, hey, like, I know this is going to work out, and keep believing that. And a belief is nothing more than a thought you keep having. So keep thinking, hey, this is going to work out. I know this is going to work out, right? Everything always works out for me perfectly. And so it's like, even in those hard moments, you know, there's something better. There's something coming out. And this is also optimism. It's like, you know that there's a pathway for you. You know that there's something and you can always change your mind. So you create reality. And that means that you can also choose a new version of yourself in every moment. And that means, start being grateful. Start listing off things that you're grateful for in that moment. Like if it's really, really, really tough and you're just like, you know what, like I'm grateful to even have shoes on my feet. I'm grateful to have these eyes. I'm grateful to have this body. I'm grateful for everything that I am, right? And I'm grateful for my friends, my family, everything. And this will put you in a higher vibration just by doing this. But, again, back to the movie. In that movie, people started not to like him after he would wear this mask. And like even the girl he was talking to, she could see Pat. Like at first she liked it, but then she started to realize what it was doing to him. And it was really that ego can push you into a sense of false power where, you think you're better than other people. And, you think that, you're the only one getting further, right? But everybody is advancing at the same time, just in their own ways, on their own timing, right? So, but, and this goes for a lot of Jim Carrey movies because Jim Carrey is very, very awakened. And, most celebrities are in some way, shape, or form. But if you really watch a lot of Jim Carrey's movies, there's a lot of symbology in every one of them. So, like the Truman Show was all about creating reality and realizing that you're living in a matrix, right? And so, he in that movie he started to realize and wake up around like everything around him was replaying and happening the same way. And what happens at the end? He sails out to the edge of the water and climbs up the stairs to heaven, right? And then leaves, opens the door. And so it's the same way climbing up the spine, right? The stairway to heaven. So, you climb up the spine, in your imagination. And it really does happen with energy, right? The energy comes from the bottom of your spine and raises up to the skull. Okay. And it's the same symbology there of, Jacob's ladder or the Kundalini or, the Christ raising. It's all the same thing. Okay. Also, Bruce Almighty. Okay. Another very great movie. And if you really watch this after you've awakened, guys, these movies will totally change, the perception of them. There's so much truth in the movie, right? And like, in the movie, God gives him the power, right? God gives him everything that God is and has and does. Same thing with us, right? God has given us everything that God is. And so that's what it means to be created in God's image, is that we have the same power, the same likeness of God within us, okay? So God's given us free will to create with its power, right? So whatever we choose for ourselves, God says yes. And, in that movie, he was given all that power. And it was kind of the same thing as with the mask. He got kind of an ego about it. And, but then he started to realize how he could use the power for good, right? And, it taught him a lot. And, you know, in the movie also, there's a lot of symbology, right? So, in the one part of the movie when he goes to meet God, which is Morgan Freeman, he's standing on a ladder. The same thing as the Truman Show, right? He goes up the ladder. And there's a light, and he claps it off with the clap off, right? So there's a light at the top of the ladder, at the top of the stairs. And he says, I am God. I am God, right? So, just the sheer, like, it's all right in front of our faces, guys. And we don't even pick up on it, But I would challenge you to go back and watch those movies if you're really interested. And watch it from a new perspective if you haven't. There's tons of wisdom in the movies, and you just have to look for it and listen for it. But ultimately, I'm just telling you to drop the mask, be your authentic self, be who you really are within your heart, within your soul, because you're not a person, right? You are the soul. So the soul is loving. The soul is joyful. The soul is authenticity. The soul is your true expression. And like I said, I'm not saying to never use your ego. You have to, right? It's part of moving through the matrix or the earth plane. But it's all combining, so you can integrate the ego with the higher self, right? And so that means that the ego listens to your higher self. Okay, and that's what we're working on doing, is to integrate the both of them into one another so they become one, right? Your ego is not your enemy, okay? It just needs help. It's in survival mode, and that takes time to rewire and change and develop new habits and routines and a new way of living, because if you've been on this journey long enough, damn right, this stuff gets rough sometimes, okay? It's a lot of, shedding and, upgrading and, so it's like that saying of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, right? Or even 1 step forward and 2 steps back, right? Sometimes. And, it's all a journey, guys, and there is no destination, right? We are infinite beings. So there's nothing to be scared of. There's nothing to worry about. This is all just you having an experience of whatever you want to create, whatever you want life to be. Okay? And you will get it slowly as you go. It's not just an overnight thing, and and I mean, it could be. I'm not saying it can't be, but majority of the time, the person still has a giant ego, and they have to integrate and change and, it's a lot. So, but with that being said, guys, take off the mask, live your life, and be the beautiful soul that you are. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.